Linda.
Linda.
Awesome stuff.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about yourself, Aaron.
Sure. Well, I've been into game development for quite a while now. On and off, really. I started when I was about 13. I got into the old sort of point-and-click games like Mist and Riven. They really inspired me to get into game development, mainly because it was a way of being able to create a game without too much programming knowledge, which was really nice. I'm not much of a programmer at all, I have to say. I'm definitely more of an artist, musician, storyteller. So I found it really cool that I could incorporate my artistic talents with my musical talents and storytelling talents and mix them together. So I started getting into a software at the time called Animator, which was like a 3D modeling program. And you can still get it online. It was free at the time. We're talking about 2004, 2005, 6, I think, around that time. And yeah, I pursued 3D modeling in a really big way, particularly environmental design. And from there, I decided to pursue music when I got into my later teens and my 20s. And yeah, I lived in Australia for a bit. And then in 2018, I decided to get back into my game development route. So I decided I needed a sort of like a fresh start. And I haven't looked back since. 2018, I got into Blender. I picked up Blender and started learning that properly. And then I just started developing Nia as well. And Nia is, it's been a long-term project. It's been something I've been developing since, I think, yeah, about 3 years now. It's definitely based on the whole Mist-driven, old school point-and-click first-person slideshow-based gameplay. And very sort of different to how games are being made now. I mean, it takes a very old sort of premise and way of navigating around the world using pre-rendered graphics as well. And that's one of the things that I just love about the whole old school games like that, is that, I mean, the actual detail and clarity and everything that you can capture in pre-rendered graphics is just amazing. And I guess being more of an artist myself, it's just lovely working in that kind of that style. So yeah, it's been a fantastic journey, lots of challenges. I'm designing the whole thing by myself. It's a very big game. It will probably have a 2023 release date. And I actually signed a publishing deal at the beginning of the year as well, which is fantastic. So I actually get to work now full-time on Nia because I'm funded full-time for the project, which is a dream come true. And I think what I'd love to be able to talk about a bit is how I sort of got to that point, and certain things around, you know, what's happening now in the game industry and what you can do to sort of, you know, it's mainly about just following your vision, really, whatever vision you have, and trying not to copy too much of what everyone else is doing and following the herd as such. It's just really kind of being able to be passionate and having a lot of belief in what you want to do, rather than what everyone else kind of wants you to do or is telling you to do. So that's kind of what I kind of want to touch on.
Yeah, sure thing. I mean, yeah, tell us all about it. And congratulations on the publishing deal.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Who did you sign with?
I signed up with MicroProse, actually.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, MicroProse. And it was at the beginning of the year. And they've been following me for a good while. It was, I think, it was roughly June last year that I had correspondence with the CEO. And then November, we were talking about it a bit more last year. And it was, yeah, it was a fun, you know, a really, really cool experience. And it was, you know, amazing. But I think one thing I'd like to talk about as well is like the difference between, you know, a small project, a small game project, and then something that's obviously a large, big scale project, and the differences and the pros and cons between the two. And I guess, you know, with a small project, you can, it's great because you can sort of develop your craft, I suppose, in different areas. You're able to build up more of a portfolio, and you can start getting your name out there And people love small games as well, short and sweet kind of games. And there's a lot of things going for that kind of thing, especially if you're sort of starting out in game development as well. And the great thing is, compared to what I was doing in 2004, I mean, I had like the dial-up NTL internet. So you'd have to connect, you'd have to disconnect the phone and do all that. So, I mean, it was very slow, and I didn't have what we have now on YouTube, the amount of online stuff you can just look up online these days is just fantastic. So there's a lot more there for people to get into and learn. So I think the great thing though with a long-term project is that you can put a lot more of yourself into it, and I always find that a lot more fulfilling. For me personally, I think a short-term project I wouldn't feel so committed to. I think Neo is definitely a good indication as well, and I guess that comes under possible publishers and stuff, that you are committed and obviously enthusiastic and have passion behind your project, that you're kind of living in that world, which is pretty much what it's like. And I think you can have a lot of milestones along the way, which almost feel like you're finishing small little projects, which then builds up into this huge, massive project. And I always feel that, especially when at the end of the development, it's going to be a massive milestone, like a huge journey of life as well. So many different things have happened since I started the game, and where I'm at now in life, and where I'll be when the game is finished as well. So it's I guess it's pros and cons between the two. And also when it comes down to what style and what game engine people are using, I know Unreal Engine and Unity are used a lot these days, but I'm using something called Visionaire Studio 5, which is great for your Broken Sword, Monkey Island kind of third-person point-and-click games. But it's great because you can manipulate that and turn it into something that does run as a first-person point-and-click kind of game like Mist and Riven. So that's really cool as well. And I think it doesn't require too much programming knowledge either. It's very the interface is very visual, so that helps for me. And I think one of the reasons why I guess I didn't go down the Unreal route is because I don't really know how to program very well at all, but I have a vision for what kind of game I want to create. And it does, it's kind of a salute to Riven particularly, which was released in 1997 by Sam Wells. And it's just the style of that game, and that's the way I wanted kind of Nier to go, really. And it's a lot to take on, as one person, but you kind of don't think too much about what's ahead. You kind of think about what's happening right now, and you set yourself little deadlines and everything, and you try and meet those deadlines. And I think the main thing is the passion and process over outcome as well. Definitely focusing on the actual process of what you're creating rather than what you're going to have at the end of it. Like the worst thing is to probably create a game just because you want to try and make loads of money or anything like that. The main thing you want to focus on is the story you want to tell, the world you're creating, and you want to be able to share that with people. And I think I've actually heard this before from another developer, but if you are given say someone gives you a brick at the end of creating a game, and that's all you kind of get at the end of creating that game, are you going to be happy with that brick? And I guess if the idea is that maybe you're not going to be so happy with it, then that's when you think to yourself, so why am I creating this game in the first place? And anything that's after that is a bonus. Anything like publishing or being able to do really well in terms of like the idea of success being through sales of anything. I mean, to me, I think success it has so many different faces, and I think it depends how you perceive success.
So for you, what was success in this case? Was it finishing the game? Was it having the time to work on the game? Was it seeing your Patreon numbers go up or your YouTube viewers go up? Or do you think that is going to be like actually releasing the game?
I think there's actually, looking at it success has kind of become different things along the way in terms of creating Nier, because it was just a success in some way, just to be able to kind of get back into that flow after pursuing music for so long. And it's really interesting, actually. You can have a massive gap away from your own creative pursuits, and it's very easy to get back into that if you've been doing it for a long time. It's like riding a bike, which is quite cool. I've always been scared of, like, if you don't do something for so long, you start to lose and get a bit rusty, you know. But I found my feet quite quickly with that, and learning Blender was a success in itself, because it was such a great leap in graphical quality compared to what I was using with Animator. And it didn't take very long. I think once you know how to use a particular program, any 3D editing software or anything like that, it's very easy to then jump into, say, 3D Studio Max or Maya or Blender or anything like that from maybe a smaller software. So I think success is, all the different things that happen along the way. I mean, it started building, the Myst communities on the internet, the people that are really diehard Myst fans out there, obviously jumped onto the game very quickly because it resonated with them. And, it seems to resonate with a lot of other people too, which is interesting. Like, I kind of found out a bit more about the Fallout games because someone said it reminded them of Fallout 4, and I didn't even know much about it, so I looked it up. And the visual style and the decrepit kind of look of everything, and everything's abandoned. I love that kind of thing, like the weathered look of things. That's definitely something I've always I'm really interested in when I'm creating things in 3D. So obviously the publishing deal and then the Patreon numbers going up, like you said, that was it's amazing stuff. It's just really cool how it just grows, and it's fantastic. It's really cool.
So with that, how did you build the community? Was it focused on the Myst community then? How did you do your marketing? Because a lot of the time, and part of the discussions that we've had have been with developers who manage to one way or another get discovered, right? And it's the same with Patreon, right? You need to have people find you. How did you manage that?
Well, basically on the different Facebook groups. So I joined up on not just the Myst sort of communities and everything built around that, but also 3D modeling groups as well. And there's so many different groups on Facebook. So it's just been great being able to kind of get on board with those, connect with the different people, and basically sharing the game. One of the key things is also Steam. I'm not one to kind of shy away from just plugging it. And, you've got to be careful that you don't come across as spammy. But at the same time, you just, you do definitely want to put yourself out there. And anything that I leave on Facebook or any ads, I don't really do ads, actually. I don't do any paid ads. I think one came through once on Facebook saying I'd paid for an ad that I didn't even intend to pay for, which was a bit awkward. I had to deal with that. But yeah, most of the stuff is just free online stuff you just put on the Facebook pages, and then after that you put the Steam link, and then if anyone comments, then you sort of add the Steam link to that as well. You kind of and Steam is the big thing.
Yeah, I think the last question from me, and then we're going to go to questions from the audience, is where are you based? Because you're based in Felixstowe?
Yeah, I'm based in Trimley St Mary, actually. Near.
Did that have any sort of effect on your work?
Yeah, big time. So I started near when I was in Australia, and even then, though, I was referring to a lot of the things I'd seen when I was younger and growing up here in Felixstowe, Ipswich, because I was about to turn 21 when I moved to Australia. And so for me, it was kind of referring back to the old buildings, particularly the Napoleonic period. So you've got a lot of that at Landguard Fort and Felixstowe, and you've got the Martelli Towers and everything like that. There's and weirdly enough, a lot of that stuff is very evident in Riven as well, even though the company that made it, they were based in America. There seems to be a kind of a link there. And so it's quite easy to kind of fall into that visual reference and sort of soak that up, and then use that as my kind of palette for creating the environments, which is there's steampunk elements as well. And I suppose there's also all sorts of different references that I use, but that is one of the strong things that I draw from, definitely. So it's a good spot.
Cool. Thanks a lot for that. Adam, any questions from the audience? I have one from Mark. Do you have a target number of units you're hoping to sell once you're releasing?
Well, not so much currently. Just as many as possible, I suppose, or as many as it is at that time. I mean, I think obviously having a publisher involved now, there's a lot more of a PR marketing that's going to be behind it, which is going to be fantastic. And announcing the game officially through MicroProse as well, and all that is gonna, it's gonna really kind of kick things off. But the Steam, wish lists are doing really well as well. They've been building up. One of the things that kind of enticed, I think, MicroProse to actually kind of go along, looking at how with very little marketing, the game has done really well already. Even without being released, it's got so long. 2023, possibly mid 2023 release as well. Well, and one thing I made very clear is that it comes back to the whole passion thing as well, and process over outcome is not working to deadlines as such. Obviously, it's a bit different now, having a publisher behind me, but it wants something that being able to talk about very openly about, not really working so much to a set deadline, and having a bit of leeway with that, which just makes, I think, the creative process a lot better. You don't want to restrain yourself too much, or it kind of just, you want to be able to have it flow and be open as much as possible.
Cool. Thanks a lot for that. Another question from the community. Are there any communities you recommend people integrate into their journey to become game developers that have helped you in the past?
Yeah, definitely.
Like by name.
By name, yeah. There's one called, I'll just quickly check on here actually. PC Master Race, I believe. They're kind of based on, they sort of focus more on kind of like hardware and what kind of computers you're using and stuff like that. But they've been a massive support. And actually, it's funny, it's like the groups that you least expect to come up that end up being the most supportive. There's so many. You can look up 3D artists, for example, Blender, Blender official Blender artists page, 3D modeling and animation, 3D modeling texturing. There's so many different titles they have, but if you look them up, you can find them. And I think, like you said, though, for me, particularly personally, it was kind of the Myst fan site, because you had the Myst community there, and it was very cool just to kind of like get with that. But I think with game development, depending on what direction you want to go, there's probably Unreal groups out there as well for the Unreal Engine and Unity. So there's a lot of different avenues you can go down, particularly depending on what direction you want to go down as a developer and what you're using. And yeah.
So what advice would you give someone who's creating a portfolio for game design?
Yeah. I think with that, it's definitely leading with your best stuff first. And I think sometimes, less is best as well. You don't want to kind of choke everything, and you want your best stuff to be at the front, because what I've heard from how developers work, companies, when they're taking new people on, is that they might not even look at your CV as such. They'll kind of bypass that and might even look at the work straight away. They'll look at what you're producing. So you want to be able to have your best work there for them to actually cling on to then following it up further. And some people might work differently, but that's a thing that I haven't experienced myself, but I've kind of heard from other people's experiences and companies and everything like that. I mean, one thing I'll have to add as well, I mean, it's a good example of following your own heart. And I guess it's also cool because it's linked to working for a company as opposed to yourself and what you prefer to do, or starting your own company. I actually got it was sort of December last year, I think. It was a message I got through on Facebook about it was someone they were looking for artists to employ for Infinity Ward, who create the Call of Duty games and stuff like that. And they've come across one of my my posts on Facebook, and they wanted me to go ahead for interviews and everything like that. And it sounded really cool. Like, I'd work from home, and then I'd also then possibly, if I did end up getting a job, which I think they were just looking for interviews at the time, it was a full-time position, I'd actually move to LA and work with them in their studio. And it was really cool. It was like, wow, this is so cool. Like, this would be a life-changing thing. But I decided, because I've been working on Nier for so long, I couldn't give that up, because I wouldn't have enough time to be able to work on my own project as well as working for a company. And so I decided to go ahead with Nier and see it through. And, you know, you just got to stick to your own guns, really, and sort of follow your heart. And, you know, I think there's pros and cons there as well. Working for a company, you can't do your own thing as such, but then you know, you could be very successful in working, you know, with a big company as well. I mean, you know, especially the AAA companies and stuff like that. So you never know what's going to happen. Just take the opportunities when they're there, but also be true to yourself as well.
Cool. Thanks a lot for that. What are you drinking at the moment? Is one of the questions from the audience.
I'm drinking decaf coffee. I love my coffee. I'm a big coffee drinker, and yeah, I drink a lot of coffee when I'm creating my games. Yeah.
Brilliant. And then where in Suffolk, and let's go with this one as the last question. I noticed that Katie joined us as well. Hey, Katie. Where in Suffolk have you found the most support from the gaming community?
Well, funny. It's an interesting thing, because like a lot of the people that are like fans of Nier, they're based all over the world, and a lot of them are from some of them are in America, some of them in Istanbul, Montreal, Canada, and everything like that. So it's really cool when, you know, people from England or people that are really nearby actually jump on and, you know, want to see how the game's going. Funny enough, buy and sell pages, I've done a lot of ads on there as well. I've just been sharing work and saying that because it's linked to Felixstowe and the surrounding area, it's a cool place to be able to relate to that, and then people obviously can relate to that, and then they might be interested in your game as well. And that's kind of probably the closest I've got to in terms of building a nearby kind of community of people that like the game. So
brilliant.
But, yeah.
Thanks for that. We're going to send you an invite to the Game Anglia network, where we've been basically building a community for game dev people in the region. So yeah, if you want to join us, you're more than welcome. We have a work in progress channel, so feel free to post there if you use Discord.
I do have a Defy Reality Entertainment Discord, but it doesn't really get much use, I have to admit. Hopefully down the track, it will kind of get used more, and there'll be more things for people to actually talk about, because my main thing is Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and then obviously the Steam page as well. So they're my main areas.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot. That's about it then. I'm just going to ask you to pop your Steam link in the chat if you'd like, so that
Sure.
people can go and wishlist it. Hopefully we can get some more players your way.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'll do that. Definitely right.
Cool. Thanks a lot for your time, Aaron.
No worries. Thank you. It was lovely.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thank
And
you.
Nice to meet you, Aaron.
Good luck to everyone in there. You know, whatever path they pursue,